All right, welcome back, everybody. You are watching Locker Talk right here on Access Now. I'm Pete Pasco. Mitchell Blair has stepped aside for a moment or two and opened up a seat for our next two guests. They represent the Regina Ringette Association. Darin Degenstein has been on the show before, virtually last year. He's a member of the board, and he brought along one of his pals who also is a coach of one of the local, or maybe more than one, we'll find out, local Ringette teams, Leah Lakeman. Darin, we'll start with you. Welcome back, first and foremost.
Thank you, Pete.
Have you ever been with us in the studio before?
This is the first time in studio.
Well, this is very
for
exciting.
The show.
It's very exciting for you, I'm sure.
It is.
Try to contain yourself. That goes for both of you. So where are we in terms of the season? Are we still taking registrations? By we, I of course mean you guys. Yeah. Or has that closed?
No, the registrations have closed. Mm-hmm. However, this year in our children's Ringette program level, so that's under age of 10 and below, we will be taking new registrations for the January half season. So we kind of split it into two half seasons. So anyone with the opportunity to join Ringette, which is fantastic, they can still join for the second half of the season.
Have a lot of the teams sort of breathed a sigh of relief that maybe the COVID protocols won't be as restrictive this year as they were last year?
Yeah, I think all the players and parents are just so excited to see some games and being able to get on the ice. And I think Ringette Regina was pretty fortunate last year where we didn't have a single case associated to playing the game of Ringette. So we were pretty strict with our following the rules, and it paid off. And so I think we're pretty comfortable that we're capable of continuing safely.
Leah, tell us a bit about your Ringette background. First off, what team do you coach?
I'm under Fund 3, so the children's Ringette. My daughter plays, so I've been coaching her for 4 years. This will be our 4th year. So yeah, it's exciting to be back, and the kids are all excited to be back and playing games. So.
Can we assume you're a former player? You grew up with Ringette, so to speak?
Yes, I'm a former player, still playing actually to this day. I play with the Open A Jets. So we're a competitive Ringette team, hoping to go to provincials and then hopefully play at the Western Canadian Ringette Championships, which are hosted in Regina this year.
Nice. What are your numbers looking like? You mentioned the younger age groups are doing very well, so
yes, yeah.
Has that spilled over to the older ones?
Well, it's since it's a lifelong sport, when you have the growth is, sustains itself over time. So for sure in that under 8 age group, we passed the 100 player mark, so which is great. We haven't, a couple of years ago, that would have been at 53. So we're almost doubling what we had a couple of years ago, and during this pandemic, which is pretty remarkable. But I mean, parents want to have safe, great sports to put their kids into. So the demand is definitely there. So that's healthy. That children's Ringette numbers looking fantastic. The actually U16 and U19 also grew. So I think there's some players maybe coming back and graduating up. So looking pretty good. And then of course our open division is, last year was with being adults, they couldn't play. So this year, doubled back up again. Everybody's coming back.
Very nice. Leah, you are involved in something called the Coach program. What is that all about?
So basically it's what it says, Coach the Coach. We're mentoring new coaches, so giving them the guidance and the support that they need to help them flourish into what they can become. So yeah, it's very exciting, and just helping those new coaches be able to join a team and not be kind of bombarded with everything that they need, having that support that's just kind of one text away. So.
Do you think, I'm assuming that'll bring a lot of former players back to the game as coaches, because a lot of people finish playing and they go, well, I'd like the coach, but I'd never really paid attention to what the coaches were doing, so I wouldn't know what to do. Do you feel that helps?
Absolutely. Like me joining or playing Ringette for 28 years and then being a new coach, I was a little bit taken back. Like I knew the game and I knew how to play. I just didn't know how to focus my energy on teaching someone how to skate or teaching them the fundamentals of the game. So it's really awesome to have that mentor and support.
We mentioned Regina hosting the Western Canadian Championships in April. How excited is everyone about that opportunity?
Oh, fantastic. Just the fact that we're having the Western Canadian Ringette Championships after last year, and then now it's because it's an odd year. Normally it's on a provincial rotation in Western Canada. So Saskatchewan's turn's not for a couple more years. So this is a special, outside of that 4-year rotation, so we have an opportunity to host it. So we bid on it and outbid the other associations to host it. So we're very excited to have that here. We have great facilities and you can see some fantastic ringette. So
look forward to previewing that on future episodes of this fine show. What about your team, Leah? I guess the floodgates are open in terms of travel again and teams traveling to tournaments and such. Are you guys going to take advantage of that?
So my Open A team, we're in talks of doing some tournaments and maybe possibly Calgary, depending on restrictions, of course. But we're participating in the Elite AAA tournament here in Regina in November. And then, provincials and hopefully Westerns.
Sounds great. There's a couple of teams that'll be going a little further afield in the not too distant future. 2 teams that are headed off to Europe, not this season, but next. Tell us what that's going to be all about.
Yeah, this is super exciting. I mean, so about 20 some years ago, there was a team that was formed. Andrea Weston was part of that. And that played in Finland and Sweden, and then she formed another team, which I was a part of. My daughter was a part of. It was a couple of years ago, and the dream was, let's make this a regular occurrence. And so the idea was, every 2 years, let's have a kind of like the B division players. So the A and AA have opportunities to go play at Westerns and at Nationals, and so something for those B division players. And so form a team to go play in Europe, in Sweden and Finland primarily. And so both the Buffalo Plains Ringette Association, which is White City, Emerald Park, Pilot Butte, and Regina, both have teams traveling to Europe in 2023, in that spring of 2023. Some of the talks are, there's tournaments for ringette in Austria. Oftentimes there's a team from Czech that gets formed and then goes to Austria. So there's some different things then for them to do, but the fact that we're started on it, and then with the intention of making this more of a regular occurrence, it's super exciting. It's just so good for every ringette player, regardless of level, have something special to look forward to.
Will they play a series of exhibition games, some tournaments, maybe a combination?
Yeah, well, there is a tournament in Finland, really competitive, that they could opt to join. There's that tournament in Austria that they can go and join, but other alternatives is simply a series of exhibition games. So those are the kind of the options for when you go play. And so those teams will decide which way they're going to go. If they travel in, say, February, which is a little colder in Helsinki, or if they go in April or in July. They have big Finland tournaments in July. So that, there's some options there to play with, but they haven't decided yet.
Yeah, they emphasize the first 3 letters in Helsinki in the winter. How big is the sport over there? Is it an international hotbed?
Well, Finland, so I had gone to Finland and witnessed ringette being played there. Very aggressive, very popular. Some of the Finnish parents say, we own ringette. That's their kind of attitude. And they certainly seem to, because they're very, very good at it. Sweden, it's a little bit more centralized in the Stockholm area. That was our experience anyway, so it, growing as well, but right now Finland seems to be the hotbed of ringette in Europe, and then as I mentioned a little bit in the Czech Republic, and Sweden's there, and so it's starting to spread out. Hopefully it catches on more and more.
Leah, what do you enjoy most about working with young athletes? And I assume your coaching maybe has to differ a little bit between open age athletes and the younger ones?
My main goal is, showing them my passion for the game and letting them come back the next year, right? I want to encourage them. I want to show them the sport, make them love it, and then return the next year. That's all I want. Yeah.
This might sound like a dumb question, but we're not afraid of that around here. What are the biggest differences between hockey and ringette, other than the obvious, there's a ring and there's no blade on the stick?
The shot clock. So we have 30 seconds to move the ring down the ice. Blue lines are huge, no offside. 3 people, so we have a ringette line, so only 3 people on defensive or offensive end. So no crease, can't go into the crease. Those are.
And I think there's a cultural thing too. I mean, the world's best ringette players are female. There's not a single ringette team in this country that doesn't have a certified female coach. And that culture of empowerment, in my opinion, confidence building in that unique structure, I think is, quite quite important. I think the kids that graduate, stick with ringette and make it a lifelong sport, emerge as confident adults, with a lot of high self-esteem. Like it's almost like a developmental program over and above being a fantastic sport. Yeah.
Do any boys play ringette locally?
Yes, yeah. My son actually plays ringette, so there's one, and but I mean it is female dominated. So 2% of all ringette players in Saskatchewan are male.
Okay, there are a few.
Yeah.
That's not unlike hockey way back in the day where you saw a handful of girls playing on boys' teams, and now obviously, well, they still can, but they've also got their own teams as well, and that's helped the development of that sport. Speaking of which, when female hockey started to explode, a lot of so-called experts said, well, that's it for ringette then. Clearly that hasn't happened. Why not?
Yeah, well, I think it's because it is different, right? It is a different sport, and I think in particular, maybe even more recent years, I think the importance of having a female-dominated sport has risen. In Alberta, now Saskatchewan, I mean, granted, ringette's very strong in Regina area, ringette's in Saskatoon. In Alberta, there is 44 ringette associations. There's not a corner of Alberta that doesn't have ringette. In Manitoba, there's 13 ringette associations. I mean, we played teams against Thompson, Manitoba, right? Like it's survived in rural areas in most of the prairies. Saskatchewan, we're on a bit of a mission to retake rural Saskatchewan. I mean, there's rinks in every small town around Saskatchewan, and I'm sure all those rinks would like to have all the more people make use of those facilities. And but right now, it's an opportunity for us to grow outside the borders of our major cities.
Coach, what makes a good ringette player, male or female?
I think just having that drive, like wanting to be there, putting in the time and effort, and just having fun. Like if you don't love what you're doing, then you're not going to want to be out there. So.
Another misconception that's out there, not us, but other sports shows. Well, all the best skaters are going to go to hockey because they like that more than ringette. I'm assuming that has not been the case?
I don't think so at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hockey is the exact right sport for certain players. Of course, it's a great sport, but ringette is a fantastic sport. And again, people tend to be lifelong advocates for it. So now the neat thing with ringette, though, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that because of the fact that you pass across the blue lines, there is no offsides. You have the ring at the end of a stick, which allows you to do a lot of agility, and so the emphasis is on skating. The emphasis is on agility, and that skating prowess. A lot of people who know ringette often put their sons and daughters into ringette just to develop the skating, because the skating development is phenomenal in ringette because of the way the game is. One of the people I've heard speak was Cheryl Pounder, who was a two-time Olympic gold medalist with hockey. And after she gave a speech, I went up to her to get a photo, and I said, and she is kind of funny. She said, "Would you like the photo with the gold medal?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." So she reaches into her bag and hands it to me just nonchalantly. Wow. And then I said to her, "My kids will get a kick out of this. They play ringette." She said, "I don't mention this in my speech, but I started my career playing ringette." That's how she started. So it's a great way to learn how to skate for sure.
Awesome. Regina has a team in the National Ringette League. I didn't know there was a National Ringette League. How long has that been around, and how cool is it that Regina's got a team?
Yeah. How long has the National Ringette League been around? Since 2000?
I think it's been a while, but it's just making its comeback this year. Yeah.
That's why I missed it. 21 years and I didn't know about it. Nice.
Yeah, so we finally got Saskatchewan Heat is the name of the team. Colleen Perdue's the head coach. She'll be on this show later in about a month or time, which is fantastic. There's going to be, the structure of it this year is they're going to have 5 hub weekends. So all the teams in Western Canada will get together and compete for those 5 hub weekends. And unfortunately, one of the hub weekends isn't in Regina. We have the logistics with ice and things like that. It'll be in Saskatoon, though, for February. And then the National Ringette League competes in the National Ringette Championships amongst other elite teams, and that's in April 3rd to 9th in Calgary. And so that'll be the culmination of the National Ringette League as well.
Who are the players in that league? Are they the best of the best, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, so yes, we have, 8 or 9 from Saskatoon, and then 6 or 7 from the Regina area make up Team Saskatchewan. And there's a mix of ages too. There's some younger, that 19, 20, 21-year-old range, but I know of at least one that's 35 years old, played for Team Canada when they compete in the World Ringette Championships, likely in Finland, because it's often, rotates back and forth. So that's the mix.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. We will obviously have updates throughout the season, but I hope you have a long and very successful season, both of you. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
There you go, folks. Regina Ringette Association. Lots going on this year, and we will keep you updated. Speaking of updated, it's time for an update on what's ticking around upstairs in Mitchell Blair's head. We call that the Blair Necessities, and that's up right now.